Stobbie.
Yep.
How's B&Q?
Oh, man. 40 minutes queuing just to get in.
40 minutes?
Yeah. And then I got kicked out as soon as I was in there.
What for?
Guy in black and orange came up to me and says, "You want decking?" Just glad I got the first punch in.
We are on episode 14 of the Perth podcast.
Yeah, we should be on a lot more, but we've gone down to a much slower release schedule at the moment.
Well, let's say we're not exactly, watching the clock and getting it bang on every time. We're just doing what we can when we can.
Yeah.
Like everyone is, really.
Yeah.
And we've not been anywhere to talk about much anyways, so here we are.
Yeah, there's that. And it's also the fact I have genuinely got less free time now, which is bizarre because I never leave my house except on a Monday night to go to Asda. But I've got just less free time at the moment for this, or for anything, not just this.
You're not the only one. I've got a couple of friends who are still working from home, and they are definitely busier than they've ever been. And working late from home, which just sounds weird, doesn't it? I'm doing overtime in the bedroom. But that whole situation. But yeah, lockdown week 9. I think it's 9 anyway. It's who knows anymore? I'm not even sure it matters anymore. But we're still locked down. We're still living the dream. We're still here, fun and games.
Yeah. It's almost becoming the norm again. To be fair, I actually can't believe it's been 9 weeks already.
I know, there is a bit of that as well, isn't it? I mean, 9 weeks, that's like almost 3 months, which is crazy. But yeah, we're getting there. I mean, hopefully everyone out there's safe and sound and getting by. And, we were talking about mental health earlier on as well. It's not just about... the sort of physical and the working part of it. Mental health is a big thing as well. And you and I saw a friend the other day there saying he's deactivating his Facebook account because it's getting him down. And I totally get that.
Yeah. And I mean, even without lockdown, social media, I've got a thing about social media, and it's not always great for people's mental health, especially if you can't get your head around the fact that everyone puts up their best side. Only the minority, show their worst side as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all this perfect world that they live in, and it's not. But there's also the other side as well, isn't there, of all the nonsense, the negativity, and the BS, to be frank. The amount of false information out there, which Facebook seems to thrive on. Going ahead and right back to the old days of, like this post to win a Land Rover, we can't sell it because it's last year's model. It's preying on the desperate and to a degree, and I can totally see how people can get bogged down in that stuff. Yeah,
so it's maybe something to think about as well, as if you're just not feeling yourself, and are you on social media a lot? Is that the thing?
And avoid it or switch it off. It's not mandatory. We don't have to have it, people. It's not a necessary thing. It's not like breathing. We don't need it. So if you are struggling with it, let it go.
Yeah, but before you do that, remember and put on notifications for the Perth podcast posts so that you can like and share them, and then go back off social media again.
Obviously, yeah. But not all social media. I think some are better than others. I'd say, like Instagram, for example, is far less full of nonsense than what Facebook, not naming names, and I am naming names, Facebook provide. But God, can we get done for that? Are we going to get chased? Facebook is he going to come after us? What's his face? Zuckerberg?
You just don't run. He has to stay at least 2 meters apart.
Oh, good shout. Yeah. I can take him anyway. He's tiny. I think. Seen the film. Social media. Don't get bogged down in it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Or you might end up at a protest.
Or not, as the case may be.
Yes, life. Well played. Played.
So that was a great turnout for the lockdown protest, where no one bothered except, I think, the person who organised it and counter demonstrators who were there to heckle them.
Hecklers, yeah. Well done. Well played.
I love hecklers.
Protesting a virus. Yes, very good. Well done.
Yeah, it was like that video I shared on Facebook where you'd seen the man protesting outside Parliament, where there was no one in Parliament. He was protesting this virus with a face mask on, and it's like, well, if you don't believe in this,
there was no virus, but I had a face mask on anyway. Yeah, just wear that normally. Yeah. Have some conviction, man.
I know, commit to your act.
But yeah, so there's some weird stuff going on. As I say, protesting, yeah, whatever. But I think normality is still far, far away, but I think we can start to see little glimpses of it now. For example, you were saying you were at B&Q.
Yeah, so putting the terrible, terrible, terrible joke from the start of the episode aside, I genuinely was at B&Q this morning. I queued for around 40 minutes just to get in, and I actually don't have a problem with that.
Well, no, it's just how it is, isn't it?
Yeah, so my shopping experiences are slightly different because I work in Asda one night a week, and so I can do my shopping when I'm there. I don't need to, stress out too much. It's late at night. There's never anyone about. It's fine. So I actually find approaching a shop as a customer a little bit kind of, I went in, I parked as far away from the queues as I could because that was near the exit. Walked all the way back. So from where the shop is, if you're facing the front of the shop, the queue goes off to the right towards the Toyota garage.
Yeah, got you.
And then when it gets round the corner, it starts to snake up and down. And I mean, it was fine. Everyone was giving you space. And even though it took 40 minutes to get in there, once I got in, and they had like sanitizer and stuff so you could wipe down your trolley if you wanted to, or, wipe your hands before you got the trolley.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had the shop to myself. Apart from one occasion where I basically ended up trapped and had to walk past people far too close, which I was not happy about because they just weren't moving. But apart from that, it was fine. It's just almost like the new normal. You go to the till, you put your stuff at the far end of the till, and then you go back to where you queue.
All right.
And then they scan everything in your trolley, and then you can go up and pay. So it's just keeping you away from them and, hovering about them while they're scanning your stuff. So,
well, it seems quite well planned out, and at least they're doing what they can to keep everyone as safe as possible while trying to, trade.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult, of course, but because I got a click and collect order not that long ago before they'd opened the actual doors.
Mm-hmm.
And I drove up when I got my text to say come in. It was like 3 days later after ordering. That's when they said it was ready to collect. And I went up and there was all these parking areas that said pickup zone 1, 2, 3 or A, B and C, whatever it was. I can't remember. But there was no signage to say what you were supposed to do. So I drove up and I'm like, am I meant to get out? Am I meant to stay in? But a woman came over with a clipboard and said to me, what's your name? What's your order number? Great, I'll go and get that for you. Just stay there. But the people behind me weren't so lucky. They never saw the woman with the clipboard got out the car. So it's all about being precise and clear about expectations of yourself, isn't it, as a shopper? What do you expect me to do? And for example, I've been doing the shopping for the house, going to Asda, and you show up and there's clearly a bit that you queue up. There is clearly tape on the ground of where you should stand if you're queuing to get in. There's signs saying that you might be a little while, please bear with us. That's all good as well. And there's arrows on the ground. Not that, many people are following the arrows because, them getting that item off the shelf is far more important than anything else in the world.
Yeah.
But actually, for the most part, it works, and that's nice to know. And as a shopper, I feel relaxed about the fact that all that's in place and it's obvious enough to follow. But if you've never been out, and I mean, how did you find the experience of even leaving the house to go and do that? Did you feel naughty?
Well, it's one of these things. Didn't feel like I was doing something wrong, but in the back of my head, I was still there like, is this an essential trip? And to be honest,
should I be here?
I think for like what I was getting and the work that was needing done, it was stressing us out that it couldn't get done. So I think from a mental health, you could argue it was essential. But no, I wasn't sitting there thinking I feel naughty or anything because I don't know, it's common sense. You use your common sense. If you're going someplace, just be aware of what's going on.
Well, yeah, and actually be aware of yourself and what you are imposing on other people, isn't it? That's what it is. It's about everyone, not about you. That's what it comes down to.
Yes, and I think that's the message that some people aren't getting. It's like, oh, if I get it, I'll be fine. Hi, but the 5 people you spread it to 3 of them won't be.
Exactly. The rest of us won't be, yeah, and that's what it comes down to. But it's good to know it's open. It's good to know you can go there and do it. But as I said, I think I said to you the other day when we were talking about golf courses, for example, I think that should be open. I mean, you take the flag out, you disinfect your hand, you go and play the rest of your round. I'm just struggling to see why things like that can't carry on. But maybe we have to bring it right back and start to bring all this back in gradually. But it always seems to be the things that make money that open first. But yeah, B&Q, open it, please. I'll be up there myself at some point to paint the house.
Yeah.
But it's great that you've got out though and doing things like that and returning to some sort of normal. Not that I think that exists and maybe will never again. The new normal it will become.
Yes, well, there is that argument as well, isn't there?
Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of it for what we've done. We went to B&Q, we went shopping.
I was just thinking there, when you're talking about like the normal, what's normal for this podcast is to have a guest on, have an interview going on, and I believe you arranged that this week, didn't you?
Yeah, so I had Rachel Mitchell from Yoga Perth on the show, working remotely, of course, again, from her house. So we talked about her yoga studio, about her classes, and the importance of continuing things like that during lockdown. So here is our interview with Rachel. We are joined in the virtual studio once again, because we're still in lockdown, by Rachel Mitchell from Yoga Perth. Welcome, Rachel.
Hello, good to chat with you, Ian. Thank you for inviting me on.
Well, we had to get someone on and everyone else is busy. Here you are. No, I'm joking. So a bit of background, of course. Rachel and I know each other from Lunkerty, where we both live and our kids go to school, but also Rachel has helped me with my back problems through yoga. So without me driveling on too long, Rachel, do you want to tell us a wee bit about what you would normally do in a week where we're allowed out our houses and what you do with your yoga?
Yeah, I've been teaching yoga now since 2004, and usually in a week I teach about 5 classes, one being an Ashtanga class, one being a Hatha class, and I also teach the 12-week program for healthy lower backs, which is the one that Ian is talking about. So along with kind of working part-time in a job with the council as well, that tends to kind of keep me fairly busy.
You're not quiet. I've never known you to be idle, that's for sure. So your weekly classes, of course, happen in Lunkerty. I've been to them. They are very good. But that was then. This is now. Before we get into what you're doing now, because I find it really interesting how people are adapting, and a lot of the show has been about this adaptation of your business. You can't just sit and point fingers and blame things for not happening. We have to adapt now, and I think you've done that very well. So we'll get into that in a second. But I find really interesting your course. You told us a backstory about why you got into yoga. Can you tell us, the audience, a wee bit about what created that love of yoga or that passion for it?
Yeah, well, I decided to do the yoga teacher training in 2004 because I knew, yoga, it's an amazing thing to do. It makes you feel great. It's great for your body. It's great for your breathing. It's great for your mind. And, I'd been teaching for a couple of years and I had a lot of people come to me specifically with lower back pain. And,
Me?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that yoga is very good for backs and it can help with lower back pain, but, there is always that worry that you're not maybe doing exactly what you should be doing. Backs are precious, obviously. And so in 2013, I saw kind of an advertisement to do an extra wee bit of training in a course called Yoga for Healthy Lower Backs. So that was then a training that I did, which works you through 12 weeks, and it's roughly about sort of 53 different poses that you do in those 12 weeks.
It felt like 253, but okay, carry on.
But it's aimed at people that have never potentially done any yoga before. So it starts off very gently, just gets you in tune with your body, gets you to kind of feel your body again. We kind of just use our body to help us move around, and we forget kind of to tune in, to sit well, to stand well and things. So to begin with, the course is a bit about that. And then it does start to work through poses, which, are a wee bit more tricky, and starts to kind of give you the confidence to kind of start moving again. Because very often, if we get a sore bit, we hold on to it because we're scared to move it, in case it hurts.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh, yes.
So, that then builds tension in the muscles. And if we're not moving them, it can make them even stiffer. And it takes tension into other bits of our body as well. So what maybe started off as a sore lower back can give us sore shoulders. It can kind of work down into our legs and things like that. So it starts very gently getting you to have the confidence to kind of move your body again. And as you kind of see that you can move in a controlled way, maybe in a way that you've not moved in years, it gives you a bit more confidence to sort of think, if my back flares up, then I can do certain poses that I know are going to help, because you get a wee sort of toolkit of poses, your reliever poses, as they're called, that you can turn to, when your back sort of flares up and things like that.
And I can attest to that, of course. I after I did my back in and after I saw you, I have had times, I mean, my back's gone since, but I have had times where, even during work, where I was at a wedding, shooting a wedding, and by about 5 o'clock, I thought my back's about to go, and I did 15 minutes of yoga on the floor with people looking at me very strangely, but I didn't care. And I managed to work 5 hours after that, after I thought my back was about to go, with no problems.
Mm-hmm. Which is amazing. And, I know before you started the course, you were you were very sceptical about
voodoo
yoga.
magic, I think I called it.
Which was a huge compliment to me when you finished the course, because I always do feedback forms with all the students, and you were like, your voodoo, it does actually work, and I thought, I think so. It is amazing. If you can get somebody that isn't quite sure if it's going to work or not, to then feel it. That's amazing.
Yes, yeah. And I can definitely tell everyone that it does. For me, it worked. And there's many other people like me that I know it's worked for as well. And of course, I do suggest to a lot of friends of mine, if they do complain of lower back pains, to try yoga. And you get that look. And I gave you that look. We all know that look.
I know that look.
But I think the biggest thing for me, I think there's a lot of fear of going. If you've never been before, there's a fear of not knowing the moves. There's a fear of looking like an idiot. And once you get over that initial thing, because actually what I find with your classes is it's very welcoming and there's no judgment at all, even from the other people that are there, because you're all in the same boat.
Yes, absolutely. And it's small classes as well. So, and it's the same people that are coming for those 12 weeks. So, people actually kind of bond together a wee bit as well. We all have a wee chat.
Definitely did.
Yeah, about, and maybe sort of share stories about, their back pain and things that help them. And, so it does kind of, it brings people together as well. It's quite a sociable sort of thing as well. So,
and I enjoyed that part of it as well. I mean, for the most part, I was only bloke on the course, but at no point did I feel that was a problem, which was fantastic. Because I do remember the one that stands out for me the most, the one class I remember the most was we did a certain move, and I've had a knot in my shoulder for years, and he tried to move the class on, and I'm like, do what you want, I'm staying right here, because I could feel the knot in my shoulder moving for the first time in like 2 years. And I felt it starting to ease off. There's little electric shocks and I was like, oh, this is doing something.
Yeah, it's kind of opening it's starting to let the energy move around.
Yeah, and that was a total eureka moment for me, where I thought I tried everything, acupuncture, physios, and I think the biggest thing, and like the wedding I spoke about earlier, the biggest thing for me for yoga has been the self-help element of it. You don't have to wait for a doctor's appointment. You don't have to wait for drugs. You don't have to rely on all that stuff. You can actually lie down on a floor and get it done. And even we went on holiday to London last year with the kids and walked a lot of miles. And at one point I thought my back's about to go, and much to, I think, my wife's horror, who's over there laughing, I started doing yoga in a bandstand in Hyde Park in London on a freezing cold slab with tourists walking around me like I wasn't even there. But had I not done that, I'm almost positive, like 99.9% positive, my back would have went right there. So the self-help part of the yoga has been my biggest thing to take away from your classes.
Yes, and I think that's what's so great as well, is that if you go to a physio, they kind of or a chiropractor, they kind of do things to you that you don't necessarily know how to replicate that.
Exactly.
Whereas
Yeah,
over
yeah.
that
And it's a
12
repeat
weeks,
thing.
yes, you're doing it yourself. You're encouraged to go
Yes.
away and do homework, although I don't necessarily tell people that until they sign up.
Don't use that word. No, bad word.
I think so. There, you're encouraged to kind of be doing it again and again and again. So you kind of, it gets ingrained.
Yes.
The movements, and you are doing it to yourself, so you can then replicate it, as you say, in band
and control it, of course, as well. Because I've been to osteopaths, and the fear of what they're about to do tenses you up. But when you do it yourself, you relax. It's a bit like driving. Not everyone's a good passenger in a car, and you're trying to do the movements, and you've not braked at the same time I would brake, and there's that fear. But with yourself, you're controlling your movements. You're controlling how far you move, using your instruction. And that, I think, is the most powerful part of the courses.
Yes.
For me, and I've mostly only done the back course that you do, the lower back course. But it's a fab way to move forward with your life, I think. And I think a lot of people that get stuck in a rut of using drugs, painkillers, blah, blah, blah. This is an alternative.
Yes. And certainly, a lot of, sort of medical people are now starting to kind of see there is another way to approach things. It's just always to kind of reach for the painkillers and things like that moving your body, and sometimes it can be quite deceptive in that your back hurts, but that isn't where the problem is. So with yoga, you're moving your whole body. In a yoga class, you can start off with kind of, neck and shoulders and, work into twists and do a wee bit of leg strengthening, working on hips. So, you're kind of, you're working through the whole body. So although you might feel pain in one part of your body, it could be coming from somewhere completely different, which, I still find, having done yoga for many years, I still find that a bit mind blowing. But, that's why it is so beneficial to us.
Absolutely. So moving forward then, obviously, we have been locked down. There's apparently a pandemic going on. Who knew? So you and Douglas from the village as well, who is the ice cream ninja, we'll get onto that later when I've got rid of you. You've been doing online classes. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Because this is a bit I find really fascinating, is how you've adapted your business to carry on despite not being able to meet people.
Yes. The lockdown kind of happened, there was kind of mutterings on sort of the Monday tea time, I would say, before we were kind of locked down later that week. And I was actually just due to start another kind of back course on the Monday night. And one of the chaps phoned me and said, look, I'm thinking I'm maybe not going to come. And I was like, right, I have to kind of make a decision here. It was sort of 5:30. The class was due to start at 7:30. So I know. So what I did, I said, right, it's not fair. I don't want people to think that they have to come. I'm going to make the decision to cancel the class. So I phoned everybody, cancelled the class. And really, so that sort of from that Monday night, I had been up until then teaching about 5 classes a week, and they all just stopped. And I must admit, I kind of went into a wee bit of shock, because I thought, right, what do I do, to kind of fill that void? And I thought there's lots of stuff online. People will find other places to go. Do I really want to be putting myself out there and doing stuff? And there's, a couple of friends of mine were who taught through gyms, or a physio's practice, and were kind of getting into Zoom, or they were kind of being pushed into teaching on Zoom. And I thought, I'll have a go. And, with the comfort that the students that come to my classes know me, and, they kind of want me to be their teacher. So although there is lots of yoga out there, they don't know all these other yoga teachers. So I kind of put out a couple of testers, and there was people that were kind of interested in, sort of taking part. So that kind of started that side of it. And then Douglas came round by the house. Obviously, he stays in the village as well, and sort of chat my window. We had a wee chat out the window, and he said, I'm looking to do a 4-week shape up program in May. Do you fancy it? And so that kind of then started a wee conversation about how I could feed into that as one of his instructors. So there's lots of different other instructors. So there's a Pilates, there's a guy who's doing sort of Q&A on running techniques, and the
Oh, I don't run unless things are on fire, Rachel.
Yeah, I'm not much of a runner myself either, more on the spot stuff. And and I thought, the yoga, although it's very different, I thought will be an amazing kind of balancing, contribution to make to the program.
Nice.
They're all working to sort of tighten and sort of strengthen their bodies, where the yoga is going to help sort of stretch out, do a wee bit of mind stuff as well. The other, yoga isn't all about the physical stuff. There's a lot of kind of meditation and and relaxation benefits that we can get from yoga as well. So Douglas seemed quite excited to kind of have that as something to offer the students that came along. And certainly we've done 1 week so far, so this is just going into the second week. So I do a live session on Thursday morning for them. So it'd be quite nice to actually meet some of the people that are kind of posting things on Facebook and things for them. So that
names to the faces, as it were. Yeah.
Absolutely. Or he gets people to post what they're eating, which is which is great. But it's just seeing all these amazing, this amazing food that people are making. It's wonderful.
Well, how long was that in the microwave? No, I made it. Oh, right, okay.
I know, it's like, this is just making me hungry,
So if, as a punter then, if I wanted to get involved in that, how would I go about that?
I think for Douglas's 4-week shape up, I think you sign up for those 4 weeks. So that's probably that, that's a closed group. So that's kind of advertised on Facebook at the beginning and things. For my kind of weekly classes and things like that, you would be able to contact me. So I'm teaching currently a Hatha class and an Ashtanga class. So just 2 different kinds of yoga for those that don't know too much about yoga. The Hatha is more of a kind of general beginner's intermediate, and the Ashtanga is a wee bit more energetic or more dynamic, a yoga style. And Zoom isn't maybe great for beginners with that, but the Hatha certainly is completely accessible by, for anybody and things. So they would be able to email me if they wanted to come along to that. So my email is just yogaperth@btinternet.com if you want.
Perfect. And we'll put a link to that underneath this podcast as well.
Yeah, if you want a bit more information on that.
Yeah, and I definitely highly recommend yourself to everyone listening. Rachel, listen, thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking a wee bit out your evening. I know you've got children to put to bed and stuff. But yeah, thanks for telling us a bit about your business.
Mm-hmm. Not a problem. Thank you again for having me on.
Cheers.
So that was Rachel from Yoga Perth, and it was a really interesting chat. I especially like the image of you doing yoga in random places, like in a bandstand in the middle of London.
Honestly, it was so cold when I was lying down in that slab. It was like incredibly cold, concrete slab. And as I say, these tourists just came up and walked around, totally ignored me. Bizarre day. We actually went to Five Guys after that and stuffed our face. It was amazing.
I just had visions of you when you said, and then like I was doing this yoga on the bandstand and these people just started copying me, and it was like a flash mob or something.
They're in the wrong place. It's highly important to keep moving and keep going about and doing things while you're in lockdown, folks. And Rachel is really, really good. I can't thank her enough for what she's done. So thanks for that interview, Rachel. Thanks for coming on.
So what else is there that we've been up to?
Well, the only thing I can really think of is takeaways. So
stuff in your face again.
We've actually what's happened is we've ended up reducing the amount of takeaways because it costs money to get stuff delivered out here, so it's actually quite expensive to get a order online done here. So we've been ordering through Just Eat, I think it is, and we've ordered from a couple of places in Perth. Now there are really good restaurants in Perth, and there's no there's no Dubai here at all, but we have ordered twice now from Just Eat, and the wife has ordered a fish supper from 2 different places, and twice now she has not gotten her fish supper. Something is conspiring against her. So the first time we got sent nothing, there were 3 orders instead of 4, and the second time she ended up with a deep fried pizza supper instead of a fish supper. And I'm sitting here going, you've got no walk-ins. Come on, guys, get this together. So my message is, try harder. I'm not going to name any names and shame anyone here. The food was good. I'm leaving it at that. But I've paid good money to get that order out here. We're keeping the place alive by ordering this stuff. Please just return the favour and order the damn fish supper. So yeah, it's been a bit of a farce of, oh my God, you're just not meant to have this fish.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it is. It's just divine intervention.
Oh yeah. But the only other thing we were talking about as well, Stobbie, was getting out and about, isn't it? So this is, and we're going to finish on this note because I think this is really important. I know a few people who have been afraid, basically, to go out. They might not even have realised they've gotten to that stage, but going out for a walk is okay. Go out for a walk. Avoid people. It's all fine. You must get out. You must connect with the outside world and just get out of the house. It's very important.
Absolutely. So, during the week, I was speaking to you and I was saying, I just got no time for anything and I'm busy. And then you were like, you need to get out. And I was like, what? And you were like, go out, just go for a walk. And so I did. And then, when I got home, I just felt better. And that was when I started to realise that while I wasn't down as such, I wasn't like moping around like Eeyore or anything like that. I was just not quite myself.
Yeah.
And the next day, I've been wanting to do it for ages. Next day, I went out and actually went for my first run in a couple of months. And brilliant. I fully intend to keep that up now and just get back out there. And yeah,
did you feel reinvigorated? Did you feel like
mentally? Yeah, physically, I was exhausted.
That's why we have beer in the fridge.
Yeah, well, that's it. Because I was surprised to find actually that I haven't put weight on since lockdown began. Because I actually weighed myself again, so I've maintained, which is not bad.
You're not going to hang on to the mirror in the bathroom while you do that. Take some weight off.
No. I was leaning on the windowsill.
That's fine. That's cool.
So it's all good. But no, and it is. I wouldn't say like I'm mentally refreshed and ready to take on the world or anything, but it just lifted my spirits. So yeah, I think, like you're saying, it is an important message to remind people that you might be sitting there going, actually, it's been 3 or 4 days since I left the house, or I haven't been on a walk today. I should maybe, I can't be bothered. No, I should go. It's kind of thing. Just make yourself go.
Yeah, and you absolutely should do that. That actually reminds me of the interview that we did with Liz Gilmore not that long ago on the show, where that connection with the outside world, the connection with the real world around you, that's mega important, folks. So if you haven't been out for a few days, get your shoes on, get out of the house, just go for a walk. And don't do it once, do it every day. Make use of it.
And download our back catalogue and listen to every episode. Not that they're even remotely relevant after a couple of weeks, but...
Hey, it's fine. It's good interviews in there. They should listen to them. Skip the rest.
Absolutely.
Skip your jokes. And on that bombshell... No, go on.
No, I was just going to say, we have actually got some great interviews in there. I think I might start working through the full versions and start releasing them. What do you think?
Well, yeah, and I think that should be maybe the new format going forward. Of the interviews are mega important. We've had some really good guests on here. You guys are more important than we are. We're just a voice. And the people that are holding it all together in Perth, they're the ones that deserve to be heard. So yeah, get editing.
We'll see.
And get releasing. Beyond that, though, folks, I'm looking at the clock and we are out of time.
Yeah, we are. So, quick plug. We're a part of the Fair City Podcast Network, so check it out. We've got some great new stuff on there. We've got PCAVs have now joined as well with Positively PCAVs, and we've got Sinister Spotlight. I may have mentioned them in the last episode, I can't remember, but definitely check out the new ones. And the site's been beautified as well by yourself, Ian, so let us know what you think of the new website.
Absolutely. So get on, get listening. Thanks for listening to us. Like us on social media that I just told you not to use. And subscribe where you can. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're everywhere.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of us.
No.
We apologize. We'll see you next time, though, wherever that is. 2-3 weeks, I reckon.
Yeah, probably. Thanks for listening, guys.
Cheers now. Bye-bye.